It's Tuesday evening. Time for our award-nominated show, Listen to Me, with your hosts, Mimi Stewart and J Rodríguez. Comienza ahora. All right. The award-winning, award-nominated, and in English and in Spanish. Eso quiere decir que vuelvo loco a los liberales en dos idiomas. The liberals can't stand me, but hey, this is America. We can't stand them either, but we're sure the cure for liberal afflictions. Every Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in radiount.net. This is Listen to Me. I am J Rodríguez. Today, Mila Márquez is out she's doing some assignment work for Listen to Me, so we're going to have Mila next week. So we're very grateful, but we had a very good morning. Tuvimos una mañana muy espléndida. Hoy, el 17 de julio, estamos a 17 de julio, es mitad de semana, casi mitad de mes y mitad de semana, porque el miércoles viene por ahí. Anyway, tuvimos con Rick Scott, tuvimos con Scott Plakon, tuvimos con Mike Miller, tuvimos con Rob Penapinto y con Rick Scott, el gobernador del estado de la Florida. We were with several different political officials in the morning at the restaurant supply of Forsyth Road here in Florida. Nosotros hablamos de bastantes temas. El gobernador habló sobre temas circundantes a lo que está pasando, the concealed carry weapon permits issues that was going on, his plans as becoming a senator. Una de las cosas muy importantes que nosotros queremos indagar es que hablamos sobre Puerto Rico. Y Mila habló sobre Venezuela. We spoke to the governor about Puerto Rico, and we spoke to the governor about the situation that's going on in Venezuela. The governor was very sympathetic, and we could say that he is going to help the people of Puerto Rico. And when he does become senator, he's going to talk with Jennifer Gonzalez, the resident commissioner of Puerto Rico, and they're going to try and submit a bill of admission through the United States Senate. Ahora, la importancia de esto es que por primera vez en 150 años, the first time in 150 years, there's going to be a bill of admission of state that is going to start also not only from the House of Representatives, but from the United States Senate. And that means we will have two Republican senators, Marco Rubio and Senator Rick Scott, at that time when he does get into the United States Senate, because we know he's going to get it. You know, Bill Nelson is going to be fired. So we're going to make sure that Bill Nelson is fired and Rick Scott is there. So it will be the first time in 150 years that a bill of admissions for Puerto Rico will be both in the House of Representatives and concurrently in the Senate of the United States. That will be able to give Puerto Rico, eso va a poder darle a Puerto Rico las herramientas necesarias para subsanar las problemáticas financieras, las problemáticas de corrupción. Because think about it. Vuelvo y uso la analogía. Usé la analogía de Uber con Mila la otra vez. But think about it. If you're going to cut the grass, you don't have a lawnmower. You don't have a machete. You don't have something to cut the grass. Ain't that process going to take some time? Ese proceso de cortar la grama sin una cortadora de césped ni un machete te va a tomar mucho tiempo. Y eso es lo que no tiene el pueblo y los ciudadanos americanos de Puerto Rico para esperar. The American citizens of Puerto Rico doesn't have that time to wait. We're talking right now. Think about this. There is a fire station that every time it rains, there's a waterfall falling where the engine is. The fire engine. It's getting the car wash every time it rains. Cool, we're saving water. But the problem is that we're dealing with mosquitoes. We're dealing with rotten water, standing water. So if this problem persists, Puerto Ricans will be suffering. American citizens will be suffering. And in reality, do the liberals have an answer to this? Or are they just going to keep on screaming bloody murder or deflections like they've been doing? Los liberales van a seguir gritando, no, el presidente acaba de darle la carta de surrender a Putin. There are more important things the liberals could be doing than screaming that there's a collusion, that there is a president that is a agent of the Russian, I don't know, falsehoods that is creating separations within the true American citizens of these United States. While there are 3.3 American citizens suffering in the island of Puerto Rico without the complete tools to fight their financial woes, to fight corruption, to fight crime. Because if we don't have the money to fix a fire station in Barranquitas, Puerto Rico, can you imagine what the corruption and the stealing can occur? It's common sense. I'm not the one. I've been very passionate. They told me, Jay, calm down. You're going to have a heart attack. You're too angry. I'm not angry. I am not angry. Yo no estoy enfogonado. Estoy triste. E impaciente con pasión. I'm impatient with passion. I'm a passionate impatient. I don't know how the hospital will treat that. Este es un paciente impaciente, no sé. But the thing of it is that the only way that Puerto Rico can solve its problems is through statehood. Every territory had their drag on the Union because people did not want to add another star to the flag. They didn't want to add another state. So was California. So was Florida in 1845. So was Tennessee. So was the Louisiana Purchase. So was Texas. Texas was a republic. California, they wanna divide it in 3 states. Why? Because then the Democrats will be able to balance out what's going to happen with Puerto Rico. The thing is that the Democrats are confused with what's going on in Puerto Rico and with what's going on with Donald Trump, because they know that once the Puerto Ricans start understanding the true nature of the American politics, they're going to say, hey, we've been lied to. We're not Democrats. We don't like abortions. We don't like babies being killed. We don't like being told what to do in a union. We don't want regulations that will not let me open up my empanadilla station or my food truck to sell empanadillas or to sell piraguas in the United States or in Puerto Rico. They're going to change to Republicans, and it's going to happen like President Trump has said. Vamos a tener 2 senadores republicanos. We're going to have 2 Republican senators. I could name a couple of names. Jennifer Gonzalez, Tomás Rivera Chat, Johnny Mendez, just to name 3. And you guys are going probably saying who the hell are those guys? Research them. They are Republicans. They're Republicans in Puerto Rico ready to step up to become senators of the new state of Puerto Rico and caucus with the Republicans. That Puerto Rico is broke, yes. What territory that entered the Union came in with money or a surplus? I still offer any of these liberals that criticize me and send me bags of poop to my home. They have not yet answered my question. What territory coming in as a state came with a surplus before being admitted to the state? None. Even Alaska. Alaska had problems with their infrastructure, and it was solved, and they couldn't know how to correctly do the drilling and all that stuff. Everything was solved once they became a state. That the statehood is the magic wand that is going to solve all the problems? No, it doesn't solve all the problems. Look at Missouri, look at Alabama, look at Detroit, look at Chicago, look at Illinois. But little by little, the true elements of having your congressional delegation and your senatorial delegation working to lobby for a state helps people and helps cities and states get out of their funk. If not, look at New York. Look at Ohio. Look at in Ohio, Detroit, Cincinnati. You know, it is what it is. Puerto Rico needs to become a state. The resistance is futile in pushing back and delaying, because when people start to die in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, American citizens die because of the inactivity, the liberals won't have a face to hide on. ese es mi monólogo. That's what I'm sticking to today. I hope you're having a positive Tuesday. And thank you for being in tune with Listen to Me. Now, in the studio, as you can see, we have two very beautiful people here. First to my side is Mr. Chadwick Hardee. How you doing? And his wife, beautiful wife over here. Oh my God! And look, yes, I see the children right there. All right. So, Chadwick, right? Do you mind if I call you Chadwick? That's all right. Well, Chadwick, how you doing today? And tell us. I have a nice little flyer here. You're running for Orange County District School Board District 2, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes, tell us a little bit. Thank you for being here. Gracias por estar aquí. All right. Yeah. So, Chadwick, tell me a little bit about yourself, your history, and why run for a political post?
Well, I guess first and foremost, thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
You know, I love being here with my wife. It's such a it's a nice thing to share with her. But to run for office in these times, you got to be a little crazy, I think.
Right on.
you have to absolutely be a little bit crazy. The absolute negativity, the forcefulness with how people come at you, it's just an absolute shame where we've come with all of this at this point. But when I look at what's going on, we're about to have more or less an entirely new school board going into or after coming out of these elections. So I guess I looked at it and really said to myself, I'd like to make sure that there is some pragmatic leadership, very practical, common sense leadership that can help lead the school district. And that was where I came in.
Okay. All right, good. And Chadwick, I see here you've been North Lake Park Community School PTA president, YMCA. You've been a coach, soccer, football. So you have that affinity of being in tune with students and teachers, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go into the nitty gritty. Really, let's go out swinging with a home run against Common Core. Why?
The problem with Common Core, I guess when you look at it, there's so many problems in education these days. You know what? It's kind of like the news. The day you started making profit on news is the day that you quit having unslanted and unbiased news. That was the death of journalism. So when it came to education, a lot of companies have felt like education, and there's a lot of companies that make their living on education. And again, as a small business guy, I don't have a problem with people making money. But at the same time, when you look at something like Common Core, why does the education system need to track where I go to church? And if I'm not asking for assistance, why do they need to know how much I make? So there's I want to say 215 points that Common Core tracks. Again, it's an invasion of our privacy. The grand scheme of Common Core, again, Common Core math is insane. I saw a meme the other day that looked like a house that had been wrecked. And the quote on the meme was, "First house built by Common Core math." So no, math doesn't change. Math is what it is. So again, thousands of years, math is universal. I don't expect, algebra, geometry, and simple math to change, and you just stick a different name on it and try a different way. Guess what? Engineering isn't going to change.
I see. So basically, you wanna repeal it. You want to take out Common Core.
Well, what Florida did, again, this is where it's interesting, because I put this on here more or less as a value statement. Because as a school board member, you're responsible for 4 things. And what's interesting is I've got opponents that entered the race and don't even know what the job entails. Because school board is responsible for 4 things. So when you see them out there and you hear them, you listen for 4 things. Budget, policy, discipline, and advocation or governance. And those are the only things that the school board is responsible for. So when you hear them start talking about, oh, I'm going to change this, I want to change that. Again, so many things is beyond the scope of what they're doing. They should be running for superintendent, not school board.
Okay. And Chadwick, the first item on bullet point, the safety and security of our children must be our highest priority. okay, we understand what has gone on in prior schools outside of the Orange
Yes.
County district. Again, there is an iffy type of line there concerning the Second Amendment, concerning what Governor Rick Scott did, which I don't applaud. I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons.
Reconciling
it, because, again, I think there was a lot of things done hastily instead of examined. So, school board, your duties, as you said, how do you envision security and safety for our children?
Well, again, this is an interesting question because you're right. I've got a lot of friends. The interesting thing is with what you just said is what a lot of people think, and quite frankly, a lot of people just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If the school shooting had happened in August or September, you wouldn't have had that rush to judgment. You wouldn't have had the knee-jerk reaction. But because it happened during session, unfortunately, the Democrats say never let a tragedy go to waste?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people felt, again, with reason,
Mm-hmm.
their hearts were heavy, and they felt the need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So when if you look at my first bullet point here, the safety and security of our children has to be our highest mission. It
Mm-hmm.
does, because guess what? At the end of the day, there will be another shooting. It will happen again.
Yeah.
And when I look at this, and I've got an opponent in my race that says she doesn't even want law enforcement with guns on our property. So again, I want trained law enforcement in every school.
Okay.
Maybe not trained in Broward County, but I want someone there that's willing to stop the bad man. Because let's be very blunt and very honest. The only way to stop a bad man with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Everybody else is a target.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Chadwick, how do you feel about this is what I have a little bit of a problem reconciling.
Yes.
Teachers with guns. I'm kind of like conflicted.
You're like me, torn.
I'm torn because I'm like, teachers have a lot to deal with in controlling these children and dealing with it. Where could the mistake happen that a child wrestles with a teacher and the gun pops free? The teacher leaves. There's so many scenarios. The teacher leaves for a couple of seconds.
Yes.
You have to have it in a safe. Is that safe? Really safe? Kids have these really nifty. Open it. Oh, look! Blah, blah, blah. A couple of shots are fired.
You got to be honest. Again, if you have a gun in that situation, at some point, someone is going to be absent-minded. It's going to get left open. Heaven forbid you leave it in your purse, and you leave your purse at the table when you go out to recess. You come back,
and it's gone.
Your Glock's gone. Now what? Now you've got a problem. So again, I feel your trepidation. I feel that same torment. Again, nothing would make me happier than if a bad man comes into my little boy or my little girl's school. She stands up, kicks the table over, and puts all the kids behind her and go, guys, I got you. Mm-hmm. But I just can't. Again, it's where is your pros and cons? So at the end of the day, it's safer for me to say, you know what, teachers, you teach, and let's let the law enforcement handle that.
I see that. I agree with, because I think that there has to be a higher presence, a deterring presence of law enforcement, or like they say, retired law enforcement, that they come back and do a training.
Yeah.
Because I would assume that if you're walking with nefarious thoughts in your mind, and all of a sudden you turn around the corner, there's a sheriff just walking right there.
That's right.
What's going to happen?
Oops.
First of all, like, okay,
I changed my mind.
this ain't so nefarious as I thought. So it's the deterrent factor.
That's right.
Would you consider security guards, armed security guards, or personnel in that matter?
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but OCPS actually has its own police force.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they've got around 12 for the 200 schools, so you're not getting a lot out of them. They do the best they can with what they have, and I get that. But this is where Orange County and the municipalities need to step up. I know Jerry Demings on many occasions talked about how much money he saved. Don't talk to me about the money you saved. Talk to me about how many cops you got out there. Don't talk to me about being, saving money when you're down 25 cops. Again, at the
excuse
end
me. Crocodile. That was kind of being sarcastic. Crocodile, because this sheriff has not done anything for Orange County and the opioid epidemic and the safety of our county, and that baloney of a man wants to become Orange County mayor.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry, but you mentioned that name like, no. We need somebody new in that position. We need somebody that will be able to help you.
Yeah, that's right. Again, this is the area where you need collaboration. You need the school district to be able to work with your local law enforcement, no matter if it's county or municipal, and any of the municipalities that are out there. But again, don't talk to me about dollars when it's my kid's life or your kid's life. One of the things I believe, I've been a part of the PTA for a handful of years now, and I will tell you one of the things I strongly believe is all kids are our kids. So I want to make sure that at the end of the day, when you drop little Johnny off or drop Susie off, Susie comes home and Johnny comes home.
Es que es necesario la política de mantener a nuestros niños a salvo. We have to keep our kids safe. No, so it's like 12, a police force of 12 for how many schools? No, we should try and see if we could budget. We could find the budget and encontrar el dinero, porque el dinero está ahí. En algún lado en ese presupuesto, somewhere in that budget, there's enough money to little by little, year by year, go from 12 to 144 and probably get to a force of 200, because it's the deterrence, it's the up and down. Es que vuelvo y digo, si una persona tiene se hace un menor de edad o un mayor de edad o un pedófilo, pero alguien que vea un alguacil o un guardia de seguridad va a pensarlo no una, 3 veces, porque no quieren la confrontación. These situations happen because there was not an initial confrontation that stopped them.
That's right.
So you do agree that there has to be a massaging of the budget to be able to create these opportunities to keep our kids safe.
I'll tell you this: you don't even need to massage it. You know what the actual school budget is? The general fund budget for Orange County Public Schools. You know what it is?
What?
Take a wild guess.
13 million.
Try $2 billion. Over
$2 billion
with
$2
a
billion.
Yes, that doesn't include your capital and renovation. That's an additional almost $2 billion.
$2 billion with a B.
With a B. And then you've got your food budget. That doesn't include your school lunches. Your school lunches is another $250 million.
Well, yeah, that's food. I understand, because we have to try and feed these kids.
$255 million. So again, you've got 200 schools, over 200,000 children, 200,000 plus children. So you've got a massive responsibility. And that's where when you look at what school board does, I'm the only candidate that's handled any types of large budgets. My payroll at my business right now, $790,000 a week. Wow. So I will tell you, when you look at everybody else, again, they're good people. They're nice people. They have genuinely good hearts. But if you want somebody that can come in and can be tough and really hold people accountable, that's what I do.
Es que necesitamos a alguien que haga a las personas ser responsables por sus errores, y te necesitamos, Chadwick, because es que la gente latina tiene que entender cuál es la carne detrás de los candidatos. What is the meat behind the candidates? That's why this show is so important, because you tell us your vision of what happens, what you want to happen in Orange County. But wow, $2 billion. So that means there's not only money to be able to recruit these security officers, but also there's money to be able to give to the teachers.
That's right. And again, what's funny is the school district gives between 75 and 92 million a year back every year. So when you look at, it's always interesting to see people that don't have a business background look and talk about raises, because they start talking about flat dollar amounts. Doesn't work that way. If you want to give raises, it must be based on a percentage of your increase in tax revenue. If you can't do it that way, then you can't just give it's not, you doesn't make sense. You can't do it, because you say, I'm going to give everybody $500 raise. Guess what? The person that makes the minimum wage, the minimum salary for a teacher, is going to be a lot happier than that 10-year veteran who's at maybe 60. That doesn't, the proportional percentage doesn't make sense. But when you say, okay, fine, our tax base is up 10% this year, we're going to dedicate 4% of that to salaries, and that 4% is going to your increase. So whatever that dollar amount is, you divide it by your number of teachers, and that gives you your percentage of increase. But that's not how the school board has been thinking in the last 8 years that I've been going to school board meetings. They talk about $550 one-time bonuses, $500 raises. It doesn't work that way. They talk about a $1,500 raise for everybody. Stop. Do it the right way based on your percentage of tax increase. Because if you don't do it that way, at some point it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to sit back and go, all right, number one, who are we firing? Or number two, who's taking less money next year?
We're going to keep on talking with Mr. Chadwick Hardee in a moment. Right now, we're going to go to a gentleman who we saw and met, Mr. Mike Miller. He's running for Congressional District 7 against Stephanie Murphy. Yes, Stephanie Murphy is the gang of three. Darren Soto, Stephanie Murphy, and Val Demings. Of course not. The trident, el tridente de las demócratas que no hacen un bledo por nosotros. Anyway, Mike Miller is a very true and very good man, and we're going to air this interview that he graced us with this morning while we were at the Restaurant Equipment in Forsyth during the Rick Scott event. Here we go. All right. Bueno, mi gente, aquí estamos en el show, nominado para los Paoli Awards, the award-winning Listen to Me show. And we're here with a gentleman who's running for Congress. Sir, for those that are seeing you here the first time and Listen to Me, tell us your name and what position are you running for?
Well, hi, I'm Mike Miller, and I'm right now I'm currently the district representative, State House 47, where we are this morning. But I'm actually running for Congress in CD7, which is the district that would encompass Orange and Seminole counties.
So you're running against Stephanie Murphy?
I'm running against Stephanie Murphy, and she will be a person who you will be happy to see out of Congress.
So that is one thing that we want to do here in Listen to Me, is educate la gente latina, the Latin people. Stephanie Murphy, we have to ask the question, what has she done for the Latin community in District 7 now? Positive. Nothing. She's been a career politician that has pushed herself to try and do something else other than helping the district. Is that right, sir?
I have to say, I don't see her in the district, and I know that with the Puerto Rican evacuees and all the circumstances we have here in Central Florida that need attention, I don't see her.
Sir, as an elected, let's go forward. You've been elected to Congress. What are the things that you want to do to help your district?
Well, it's been I'm very grateful for my time and experience here in Florida, serving with somebody like Governor Scott, who we're here to see today. We have done great things in Florida. We've created over 1 million jobs. We've done great things on deregulating so businesses like here can prosper. And I think that, and we have 400,000 people moving here every year from other places in the world. I think that's what makes Florida great. And I want to go to Congress and show the people in D.C. that we do it very, very well here in Florida, and that if anything, first leave us alone, and if not, do it like we do here.
That is true. Sir, draining the swamp, is that something that you're going to try and do in Washington?
Absolutely. Here's the thing about that drain the swamp comment, and I give President Trump great credit for that. It is not only the legislature that needs to have a shakeup, and that's why I think it's great we have term limits down here in Florida, but I also think there's all this bureaucracy, there's all these agencies, and they're up there just camped out in their jobs, and they don't care what's happening in small town America or small business America. That's where we drain the swamp. We get the bureaucracy, the agency folks that are hanging out in the back rooms, we get them out of there.
And I know that you're busy, so how can people get in contact with your campaign, and what is your calendar?
Are they meet and greets, walkings? What are you doing right now?
That's a great question. I'm out every day. I'm here at a wonderful event today for the governor, who will hopefully be our next U.S. Senator. And I also walk every afternoon. I have meet and greets. I'm blessed to have a chance to be on TV and the radio with you. And I actually, what I try to do is I get people to go to my website, which is Miller for Florida, all spelled out, millerforflorida.com. And then you can read about me. You can read about my beautiful family. I've got a son just graduated from high school, a daughter who's going to be a senior. I'm very proud of my wife, who's a successful attorney. And I think the thing I would like for most of you guys to do is just read about what I care about. I care about family. I care about my faith. I care about my community. I love my state. I love where we live in our country. And that's what I want everybody to realize. If I get a chance to represent the district CD7, I would be so honored and I would be so grateful, and I would thank the Lord every day that I have a chance to be a public servant for the people I care about.
Bueno, este candidato para el Distrito 7, para el Congreso de los Estados Unidos, es muy importante porque cree en la familia, cree en los negocios, cree en eliminar las regulaciones, and a lot of things. So vayan a su website. What is your website again, sir?
Again, it's Miller for Florida, all spelled out, millerforflorida.com.
Well, we're going to come over here. Mila, Miss Mila Márquez, ¿cómo estamos aquí? Estamos aquí en Listen to Me. Mila, ¿tú le quieres hacer una preguntita?
Yo quiero hacerle una pregunta, tú le traduces, por favor. Nosotros los venezolanos estamos acá, evidentemente, por la situación que está pasando en Venezuela. Sé que los Estados Unidos han ayudado muchísimo a los venezolanos. Pero quisiera saber, qué medidas pueden tomar ustedes que nos ayuden más a que no estemos en un estatus pendiente, o sea, que estemos más legales.
When you get into Congress, what are the steps that you could help citizens of Venezuela that are in the limbo? They're not either Venezuelans or not Americans.
That's a great question. Thank you. And my heart bleeds for the folks in Venezuela. They are beautiful people. I know many Venezuelans that have moved here to America, and I know that they are very proud of their country, and they are very, very sad at the situation they're in right now. Maduro is a tyrant. He should be gone. And I know that Senator Marco Rubio is working very hard, and I know the Congress is trying to figure out a way to get him out of there. Now, it's hard to when you go and disrupt another country, but this is an inexcusable situation. The folks that are caught in limbo, they should be able to have some sort of asylum in our country, because if they go back there, God knows what's going to happen. They could get murdered or tortured, and we know that's happening. So we do need to come up with a long-term solution for the Venezuelans. I know, and I believe what Senator Marco Rubio has been saying, that we have got to get Maduro out of there, and we've got to show the world that we can't let tyrants like him exist. They can't exist.
Somos muchos los venezolanos como yo preparados.
We're a lot of Venezuelan citizens like me that are educationally prepared.
Profesionales que queremos hacer equivalencia y dar aquí lo mejor de nosotros.
They want to try and do what they were doing in Venezuela.
Pero la limitante de un estatus nos hace que el ingreso por trabajo sea muy pequeño.
The problem is that since they can't get that status, they're limited in the income wise.
Yes. Well, listen, I'm glad you shared that with me, because that's an important thing. We want the best and brightest to help our country as well as your country. So if we could work together on solving that issue, that would be something I would be happy to work on in Congress.
Yo quiero hacer equivalencia, quiero terminar de estudiar mi idioma mejor.
Learn English so she could dominate English, because she wants that equality in pay, because she is educated, and she wants to try and get that stance.
A lo mejor no sé si seré abogado acá, pero por lo menos docente me gustaría mucho.
She doesn't know if she'll be able to revalidate as a lawyer, but to try and be able to work in what her profession is. And I think I agree with her, sir, that in Congress we have to try and the immigration laws. Do you agree that the immigration laws are stagnant and we've got to try and
There's no question. We can see what's happening with illegal immigration, but we have a broken legal immigration system too. Somebody like yourself, God bless you for wanting to come to America. God bless you for wanting to be a productive part of our society. God bless you. I realize, and I know I've seen this happen. This is not just the latest circumstance of the border. This has been going on for 10, 20 years, that we have to fix that broken immigration system, the legal immigration system, because people that stand in line and take their time and fill out all the paperwork and do it right deserve to be living the American dream, and I will help you fix that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. And this is Listen to Me here from the Rick Scott event. We're going to have more interviews in Listen to Me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Good.
Mi gente, será el candidato al distrito 7 congresional, Mike Miller, en una entrevista con Mila y conmigo esta mañana. We spoke a lot of things with candidate Miller, and we see that he has a good opportunity of beating Stephanie Murphy, and it's very important for that. Now, we're going to go to Mr. Scott Plakon interview in a moment, but now we're going to talk with Marta. Marta, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.
Marta, usted es de Colombia, ¿verdad?
Sí, yo soy de Colombia.
Okay. Y usted es la esposa de Chadwick Hardee, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Okay. ¿Cómo en su... yo sé que su opinión, como latina, mujer latina, mamá, madre, ¿cómo usted ve a su esposo en relación a esta candidatura para el School Board de Orange County Distrito 2?
Bueno, como usted dice, yo lo estoy viendo desde el punto de vista de madre. Yo
Sí.
de política...
No, yo entiendo. Yo lo entiendo. Por eso quiero ese sentido de común de usted, como madre, y latina.
Sí. Lo que puedo decir es que como madre, él es una persona que es un buen conciliador. Y es una persona que problem solver.
Resuelve los problemas.
Sí, él no da vueltas sobre un asunto y da vueltas y sigue dando sobre lo mismo. Él solo tengo este problema, voy lo resuelvo right away. Y él no... La otra cosa es que con tener a Chadwick en el school board, vamos a tener la voz latina ahí, porque voy a estar yo detrás de
exactamente. Dicen que detrás de cada hombre famoso está la mujer también. Eso es así. Señora Marta, pero usted sabe lo que pasó en el otro estado de la Florida. Usted sabe en la otra parte de la Florida con el suceso desafortunado. Usted como madre, ¿usted cree que su esposo va a atacar lo que él dice en su plataforma, que él tiene de pura corazón, de que quiere que los niños estén seguros, quieren que el plantel de la escuela esté seguro? ¿Usted cree eso firmemente?
Claro, él es padre.
Sí, él es padre.
¿Y quién más que él para querer la seguridad en nuestras escuelas? ¿Quién más que él? Para conocer todos los problemas que actualmente se están presentando en las escuelas. No solamente con la seguridad, muchos otros temas.
Y cuando usted habla con las otras mamás de escuela, ¿qué preocupación hablan con usted? ¿Cuáles son esas interrogantes que le dicen, mira, pasa X o Y cosa?
La mayor parte de mis amigas son latinas.
Ajá, sí.
Y hay muchas personas que tienen problemas también no tienen el inglés, no saben el inglés. Entonces la comunicación es muy difícil y yo soy a mí me gusta ayudar mucho. Entonces siempre que hay con sus hijos siempre tienen problemas que el español, que están atrasados, que si están en esto, y yo trato como de ayudar en eso. Eso también es otro problema que yo le he dicho a Chadwick, que pues hablamos de eso. Que hay muchos niños que vienen con el español. Yo no sé qué, I don't know what you think about it.
Okay, pues vamos. That's a question that your wife has put on. All right. So Martha raised Chadwick. Martha raised a valid question, and as a matter of fact, I had written it something about here. Right. English as a second language, ISOL.
Yes.
What is again? You flabbergasted me because you told me that the budget is $2 billion.
Yes.
So, what is your expectations to help students that don't dominate English, be it Spanish, be it Haitian, Creole? What are your guidance?
There are just under 200 languages spoken OCPS schools as well. Again, I'm going to even take a step back from your question a little bit, if you don't mind. One of the biggest issues is the process is intimidating. And again, some of Martha's friends who did not speak English very well, they don't want to go talk to the school administrators. They don't want to sit there. So we've got to have a pool of moms and dads that are bilingual that can say, hey, they reach out and say, hey, let's go. I'm going to help you with this process. Because the mom and dad that work their butts off for their kids to be able to provide, that maybe feel a little insecure about their language ability, they're not the ones going up to the school, but they're the ones that need that help. So when you look at parental involvement for those parents, it's key that the district reach out to them. And two, again, I'm a PTA dad, a PTA mom. You know, at the end of the day, I firmly believe in what they're doing and what PTA does. I wouldn't have been a PTA president if I didn't. That's a tough gig.
It is the bridge between the teachers and the other parents. I believe in it, because even when my father and my mother, God rest his soul, when I was in school in Puerto Rico, I remember the PTA meetings. I remember how heated it got because it was in Puerto Rico, Latinos, but you know,
it ain't much different in Orlando, let me tell you.
So you would try to integrate both the parents through the PTA with some sort of a group or commission that would help.
You've got to do it. Yeah. If again, I hurt people's feelings by telling the truth. What a novel concept for somebody running for office, right? But again, if you want successful students, it's a very simple formula. Involve parents equal successful students.
That is true.
You know, you read to them, and again, the most common feedback you get from parents that aren't involved is, I was busy. I'm busy. And again, I get that. You know, I work, 70, 80 hours a week, but I make time for my kids and their school. And we're blessed enough that Martha stays at home. She's the brains in the family. Make no mistake about it.
Cool.
She's the brains. I'm the ambition.
All right. So, cool. Well,
but again, when you want to, with the ESOL programs, going back to your question now, going back to there, you've got to have an active parent base there. Again, there's federal funding dollars attached to the ESOL program. So you've got to make sure that the kids that are in those programs are the ones that need it. And the best example I could give you was my son. My son did pre-K in the school he's in, and when they tried to tell me he was going into ESOL, I said, no, he's not. The school goes, yes, he is. I said, no, you don't understand. No, he's not. And after about a couple of minutes going back and forth, they figured out it wasn't going to happen. And a lot of parents don't know that. It's kind of like the law, right? You don't know the law, you can't use it to your benefit, or just with common sense. The same thing with this. You can pull your kid out of that. You can exempt him from or her from that, so they don't have to do it. But you've got to be strong enough to say it, maybe more than once, like I did. And that's where the parent groups come in. Again, technology is great. You know what? Facebook page. Again, it doesn't take a lot to be able to communicate with each other. People just have to feel comfortable enough to do it, because if they're intimidated on any level by the process, they back out very quickly.
All right. Let's jump a little bit here before we go to the increased salaries for teachers. Solar panels and Citizens Oversight Committee from the 1/2 mil tax increase and the 1 mil tax implementations. Explain to me the solar panel situation in the Citizens Oversight Committee. Let's go with the solar panels first.
The solar panels are pretty easy. I want to do a pilot program before we throw all the money at it. Let's see what our return on our investment is. You have nothing to lose. With the new technology in solar and wind, let's throw some panels and some windmills on the roofs of a couple of schools.
So you want to try and use renewable energy to what? Save money in the cost of electricity?
Yeah, you could probably save close to $50 million a year. And again, those are real dollars. And the dollars for this project come out of your capital and renovation budget. So this would be actual dollars that stay in your classroom, in your general fund budget. So $50 million pays a lot of salaries.
Okay, so you're trying to use that new technology to create an incentive to get more money, be able to pay for salary increases.
What? If I told you didn't have to pay your electric bill for the next 10 years, what would you do with that money?
Yeah,
it's the same thing in the schools.
Probably renovate the home and do a whole bunch of things.
You could do a lot of things with that money.
How about the Citizens Oversight Committee?
When you look at the 1 mil sales tax, again, I support the 1 mil. I think it's so much money. Again, and quite frankly, I've gotten a lot of pushback from this. Some people say, "Oh, we don't want it," and the actual members of the sitting school board go, "They don't want it." But guess what? At the end of the day, if you're doing a good job, this committee becomes your cheerleaders. If you're doing a bad job, they become your worst nightmare. But for someone on the school board to actually say to me, well, they won't understand. And I'm like, you know what? I said, where was your CPA before you got on the school board? So again, it's sometimes the people in government get a little arrogant and full of themselves, and sometimes it's just time for them to leave.
That's true. That's true. All right. We're going to continue with you, Chadwick, in a moment. We're going to go to Mr. Scott Plakon. He is the Florida House Representative for District 29, Heathrow, Lake Mary, Longwood, Sanford. He was at the meeting with Rick Scott this morning, and he graced us with an interview. And let's go to that. Let's go to J Rodríguez in that reporting. Ha, me.
All right, we're here with Listen to Me, the radio show, TV show that is on the internet and everyone's. Sir, for those that are seeing you for the first time, tell us your name and where do you represent?
Scott Plakon, Florida House, District 29, Western Seminole County, Longwood, Lake Mary, places like Wekiva, those type of places.
What do you think about Governor Scott and his activity here at the restaurant equipment?
Well, I think reflected on, he ran 8 years ago, did exactly what he said. He created even more, 1.5 million jobs, and I look forward to that type of policy making going to Washington, D.C. They surely need it.
Do you believe the president's claim of draining the swamp has to go not only in federal government but in at state level also?
Well, I think the big swamp is the federal government. If you look at our state government, we now, for the first time in history, have our bond rating is AAA with all three agencies for the first time in Florida history, and it's under Governor Scott working with the legislature how we arrived at that. The federal government, on the other hand, has had their bond rating decreased. It's actually safer to lend to the state of Florida than the federal government. You have to really think about that. I'll say it again. It's safer to lend to the state of Florida than the federal government.
Sir, I know you're busy and you want to speak to the governor. Any websites where our constituents can communicate with you?
Well, scottplakon.com, and probably mostly on Facebook, facebook.com/Rep Scott Plakon.
All right. Well, this is Listen to Me with Scott, with Representative Plakon, and thank you very much. Listen to Me, more interviews coming up. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We're back. That was a short one with Mr. Scott Plakon. Thank you very much for that interview. And this morning it was really, really great. Okay, Chadwick.
Yes.
We're gonna come to the $1 million question. Raises, you increase salaries for teachers. Why do you feel that it's so important to give raises to the teachers? What do you wish to accomplish with this?
Well, number one, I guess for me, I was a Ritz-Carlton executive for about 10 years. One of the greatest benefits of working for Ritz-Carlton Hotels and Resorts was every market that I was in, I got the best of the best. When I opened the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia in the front of the house, I ran the entire front of the house. One of the most beautiful hotels you've ever worked in. I was the least educated person on my staff, and I was the manager. I was the leader of that department. Everybody else had PhDs. I had 2 working on their PhD. Again, monstrously intelligent. So I believe in being the employer of choice. And guess what? That title does not come cheap. So if I want to recruit the best teachers from Orange, Osceola, Lake, Seminole, they will drive for the money. You know, they love being teachers. I've never met a teacher that goes, hey, I'm going into teaching to be rich. What they want is to be taken care of, and they want respect. And if you can give them those 2 things, you respect them and you pay them, they will stay. And you will be able to attract them. You will be able to recruit them. And again, when you're giving back $92 million a year, you can afford a 3% salary increase. You can afford a 4% salary increase. And then from there, you have to build. But I drop off the most important thing in my life every day to someone that I think is underpaid and undervalued. And if I'm on the school board, I will make sure they know exactly that they're appreciated, and I will make sure that they're compensated fairly.
Good. Also, you put in your bullet points, and we've jumped around on it, but it's number 2 in your bullet points. Continue the fight against bullies. again, bullying is something that is forefronted in what schools are. The daily, I was bullied. People were bullied.
Yes.
That's probably why I went into judo and boxing, because I didn't want to be bullied, and then I became the bully of bullies. I was like, oh, hey, come here. So, why is it so important to rid our schools of this element? Because it is not you can't put it to a group of people.
That's right.
Bullying could happen from a teacher to a student, or a student to a teacher, or to another student. There's a plethora of combinations.
That's right. When you look at, again, I use a business analogy. When I look at business and I look at a problem in business, the first question I ask is why? Why did this happen? So when I look at any incident, violent incidents of violence in schools, I go, what's the root cause? And most of the time, I say 95% of the time that I read more into what's going on, at some point there was a systemic issue of bullying. And again, I'm not a guy that's necessary. I'm very in tune with numbers. I believe in accountability. I believe in being able to track your numbers. I believe in being able to hold my team accountable. But I do not believe in giving fake numbers just for the sake of statistics. I believe, like my wife says, I believe in fixing it. I don't believe in
statistics. Statistics work,
lie.
But they could be massaged and manipulated.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Like the same thing with polls. Remember, Hillary Clinton is going to win. Yeah, right. But Chadwick, we talked about the security.
Yes.
So they plan again. I'm gonna play devil's advocate again and repeat again what you said about the police force. That there is a police force in Orange County. There's only 12 to 200 schools.
200, over a little over 200.
Over a little 200 schools. If we had more security officers in that detachment, wouldn't again the presence of a security officer up and down the halls would offer deterrence, and bullies would think it twice before they pull a wedgie or push somebody?
Yeah, unfortunately, the answer is no.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. When you were bullied in school, where did that bullying typically happen?
In the lockers, in the
bathroom,
in
right?
the bathrooms,
in the locker rooms, in the bathrooms, and there's one cop. Yeah. So, will it have an effect? Maybe a small effect, but again, I guess when you really and truly look at it, if you really want to empower, you've got to empower teachers. You've got to be able to allow teachers to control the classroom. If you've got kids that, you've got kids that curse out teachers that are still in the class.
Punch them. Physical abuse. I've seen it. Not in viral videos. There's confrontations where a teacher was body slammed.
It's horrible. And again, you have all of this. So the next day, why is that kid still in school? You've got to allow teachers, you've got to empower the teachers to allow them to remove problems. And the day you do that is the day you start getting education back.
Wow. Yep. I think so. I think that's a core problem, because the situation is that I think you have the elements to eliminate bullying by educating the parents on the signs, educating what you said, the involvement of parents versus the teachers, and getting them involved. But unfortunately, parents sometimes work 1, 2, and 3 jobs.
That's right.
And their involvement, they want to be involved,
but it's limited, very limited.
They have to put food on the table, and they have to put a roof.
That's right. So
how can you get them to augment their participation like that?
Well, that's a great question. Again, you've got to have some really, and I'm going to play a little bit. We got to have some really cool after-school programs. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I want to do in our community is
an after-school, a nonprofit after-school program called Nona Bots, because we live in Lake Nona. So Nona Bots is going to be an after-school robotics program.
Okay.
You know, well, I know you're a karate guy, so it's one of those things where karate's nice, but karate's not getting you to college.
Exactly.
You know, there's all the STEM aspects of that, the excitement of being able to compete against other schools. I was at a lunch last week with Regina Hill and a lot of nonprofits, and we talked about having a mirror program in the Paramore area. So maybe quarterly you had Lake Nona versus Paramore in their robot fighting, and again it's something that the kids can do that will lead to something. Again, it
technology.
Creates, that's right.
It creates their interest in science, technology,
that's right,
and stuff like that, which is good.
That's right.
Because technology, computers, the internet, this radio station, TV station is on the internet.
It ain't going away.
Well, it's going everywhere. But you know what I mean. Yes. Technology is the wave of the future.
That's right.
Now. We did have a interview with Mr. Rob Penapinto, but we're going to suspend that because I want to continue this line because it's very important. Chadwick, vocation.
Ooh, you just touched my heart.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Ooh.
Sometimes I've been looking at the labor statistics. We're short in carpenters, we're short in plumbers, we're short in masonry, we're short in mechanics, diesel, truckers.
That's right.
Sometimes right out of high school, a child that is not a child anymore because he's 18.
That's right.
He's got bills to pay. And he's got the bills to pay. And you know very well that some of these kids walk out of high school with a family.
Yes.
So they want to be able to start earning money. We have all these vocations, including IT, including computer repair, including cable, ad building, electrician technicians, HVAC, a whole bunch of these things. Do you, as a candidate for Orange County School Board District 2, do you see a future for vocation studies within the Orange County system?
What I do, again, we go back to the four things that we're responsible for: budget, policy, discipline, and advocation. One of the big points, one of the biggest reasons that I'm supporting Adam Putnam right now is his stance on vocational education. Probably if you grew up in the 80s, maybe even the 90s, if you were a junior or a senior in high school, when I was growing up, if you weren't going to college or junior and senior year, you could take vocational education. So half the day they'd go take care of, half of the day they did their general education requirements, and then the other half of the day they went to a school called Finkley Career Center. So they learned cosmetology, auto repair, HVAC repair, mechanics. So you had a lot of different things. It's so bad in the state of Florida. I think one of the reasons that GOBA endorsed me was my stance on vocational and technical education. I know that the in crowd with education always gets gives me a hard time about calling it career readiness education. No, it's vocational and technical education. You know what? That's what I call it. My mama called it that, and I'm gonna call it that. So when it comes to vocational and technical education, we've got to make that a part of our future with education. It's expensive, and we're going to have to pay for it. And let me tell you, you want me to tell you the reason why South Carolina kicks everybody's butt in the country on manufacturing?
Why?
They still believe in vocational and technical education.
They a very vast majority of their schools teach trades and that are geared to be able to get a job in the manufacturing sector. That is why if we want to try to attract companies, and I understand that your school board, but this is for all other politicians out there. If you want to try and attract companies and have a creative and fertile ground, such as what candidate Mike Miller has said, we have to concentrate in our educational system and make sure that they are safe, they are only learning what they need to learn, not looking over their shoulder, and have the possibilities of getting a vocational educational that includes internet-based, computer-based vocations, because there are people that are making thousands and thousands of dollars fixing computers, and that is an honorable job. Honorable job, a plumber, honorable job, a carpenter. We need that if we're going to have in manufacturing and construction. We can't be banking on tourism all the time.
No, and that's my world. But I will tell you what's funny. Something popped up on my computer the other day. HVAC apprentice, wages between $70,000 and $100,000 a year. And I'm like, that's real. That's real money. Yeah. So you've got to stop teaching to a test. You've got to allow children to think. And for those kids that aren't going to college, I don't want them relegated to the world of, would you like fries with that, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, because fast food is good, but not if you want to raise a family.
That's right.
It is an honorable profession, but not if you want to raise a family. Chadwick, how do people get involved with your campaign?
Well, we're on Facebook. Just vote for Chadwick, or you can look for Chadwick Hardee, and you'll be able to find us. Or you can go to my website. It's www.voteforchadwick.com.
All right. Well, and Chadwick, one last thing. When you do get elected, can we have you back into the show?
I'd love to come back.
All right. Well, then this is your home here, Mr. Chadwick Hardee. I'm very pleased and happy. I do think that you have what it takes to be the Orange County School Board District 2. We need people like you, and I understand that Donald Trump created an itch on people, American citizens. And what I want to tell you is, y se lo digo a los latinos también, ustedes quieren un cambio, quieren sacar esos políticos corruptos. You want to get rid of those corrupt politicians, those career politicians. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it in both parties. We need citizens like Mr. Chadwick Hardee and other people running for different positions within Orange County, local, state, and federal. Because what Donald Trump has started is that you don't need to be rich to be able to win the presidency. You need to start something, and you need to believe in something. And if you believe in what you're running for, people will support you. But you have to have that willingness, because public servant in this modern age of the internet is difficult. Mr. Chadwick, thank you so much.
No, thank you, brother. I appreciate you having us.
Marta, tienes trabajo aquí and listen to me. When Mila can't make it, I want you to be back. Right. All right, my brothers, we're going to have, for next week, we're going to have Rob Penapinto's interview for Orange County Mayor. Mila is going to be back. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Venezuela. Do not miss another chapter of Listen to Me. We've done it in the history books. I love you. Puerto Rico, los amo. Venezuela, take care.
Listen to me.